In the bustling city of New York, where every street corner is full of life and its own stories, there is a remarkable tale of love, betrayal, and the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit. This story is not just about a simple romance, but also a journey of self-discovery, confronting the past, and seeking the truth. Amidst the blaring car horns and hurried crowds, Lily Harris, a girl with a simple yet mysterious appearance, accidentally bumps into Jack Carter, a young man with a sincere heart and a longing for true love. From the very first moment they meet at a busy outdoor market, a series of surprising and touching events unfolds, leading them into an emotional love story. However, neither knew that this accidental encounter would lead them on a challenging journey where dark secrets would be exposed and painful truths would be revealed. Set against the backdrop of New York's vibrant streets and towering skyscrapers, Mike and Lily must face the harshest trials to protect their love and uncover the hidden truths behind the lies. Let's step into this captivating story where love is not just about sweet moments, but also tears, forgiveness, and unwavering determination. Enjoy the story. The lively streets of New York City are full of life, with the sounds of honking cars and the chatter of pedestrians. Amidst it all is the bustling outdoor market, a mix of colors and aromas that awaken every sense. Lily Harris weaves through the crowd, her hands full of bags of fresh fruits. She had just bought peaches, apples, and oranges, having bought too much at the fruit stalls but unable to resist the enticing displays. As she looked around for a place to set her bags down and call a taxi, a young man rushed out of a nearby store and almost bumped into her. Fruits flew everywhere, and the bags tore apart, their contents spilling onto the dirty sidewalk. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," the young man exclaimed, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Let me help you with this." He quickly bent down and gathered the fallen fruits, placing them back into the torn bags. Lily couldn't help but notice his robust features and the warm, friendly eyes that looked up at her with an apologetic smile. "I just fought with my old man and stormed out without paying attention," he explained sheepishly. "I'm Mike, Jack Carter, and I swear I'm not some creep, even though I almost bumped into you." Lily laughed, bright and clear, lighting up the entire street. "Nice to meet you, Mike. I'm Lily, and don't worry. I know you're not a creep." When they had collected the last fallen fruits, Mike insisted on helping Lily carry her bags to her car because it was parked nearby. She tried to refuse, not wanting to trouble him, but he wouldn't hear it. Lily had no idea that this encounter would change their lives forever. Mike couldn't believe his luck as he loaded the heavy bags into the trunk of his old Honda Civic. Lily was quickly the most beautiful woman he had ever met, with her long chestnut hair, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could melt even the coldest of hearts. As they sat in the car, Mike drove below the speed limit, taking a roundabout route to Lily's address in hopes of spending more time with her. He couldn't let this opportunity slip away. "Lily," he began with a charming smile, "is there any chance a beautiful girl like you would be free for a movie this Saturday night? And dinner too, if you'd like?" To his delight, Lily smiled back, making his heart race. "You know, Mike, I think I'd like that." They chatted happily about their interests and hobbies, and soon enough, Mike was driving up to the grand mansion that Lily called home. His jaw almost dropped as he saw the sprawling estate, meticulously manicured and featuring a fountain in the yard. "You live here?" he asked, shocked. Lily shrugged, seeming a bit embarrassed by the wealth. "My parents bought it a few months ago, but I'm not one to brag about money or anything." As Mike walked her to the large door, he couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. Her family was very wealthy. How could they accept their daughter dating an ordinary guy like him? Little did he know that the truth was far more complicated than he could imagine. "Dad, you won't believe the girl I met today," Mike exclaimed as he burst through the door of the modest two-bedroom apartment he shared with his father, John. John Carter looked up from his armchair where he was watching the evening news, a curious smile appearing on his weathered face. "Oh, tell me about it." Mike began enthusiastically recounting his encounter with Lily at the market, his eyes lighting up as he described her beauty, kindness, and undeniable connection with her. "And get this, she agreed to go out with me on Saturday. Mike said excitedly, running a hand through his messy brown hair. "Can you believe it? A girl like her is interested in me." John chuckled at his son's excitement. "She must be quite special to get you this worked up. Where does she live?" Mike's smile faltered slightly as he remembered the grand mansion. "That's the thing, Dad. When I took her home, it was a huge house, a real mansion. Her parents must be wealthy." A frown appeared on John's forehead. As a single father struggling to make ends meet at the repair shop, he knew all too well about class differences and the pressures they could put on relationships. "Don't jump to conclusions. She might just be renting a room. Don't make assumptions about her family's money." "I guess you're right," Mike agreed, though his heart was already on guard. Wealthy parents often looked down on guys like him. If Lily's family was as rich as their home suggested, winning their acceptance would be a tough battle. But he had felt that spark, that undeniable connection with Lily. She was different and special, and he was determined to do whatever it took to make her his. The week leading up to his date with Lily, she seemed to drag on forever for Mike. He spent hours worrying about what to wear, fretting about making a good impression. When Saturday finally arrived, he showed up at the theater 45 minutes early, his hands trembling nervously as he waited for Lily to arrive. Mike's breath caught in his throat when she stepped out of her sleek black Mercedes. She looked like an angel in her form-fitting red dress, accentuating her curves perfectly. As she approached, a shy smile played on her lips, and Mike felt his heart flip. "Hi there," she greeted him warmly. "Sorry if I kept you waiting. Shall we go in?" The movie was a blur for Mike, who was utterly entranced by the ethereal beauty beside him. He hung on her every word during their conversations, captivated by her sharp wit and unique sense of humor. When their date transitioned to a late dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant, Mike knew that Lily was the one he wanted to spend his life with, his soulmate. She was everything he had ever dreamed of and more. Mike felt floating in the air as they ended the night with a lingering kiss. He couldn't wait to tell his dad how fantastic the evening had been. "I'm going to marry her someday," he declared dreamily upon returning home, not caring how ridiculous he sounded. "She's the one, Dad. I can feel it." John looked at his beloved son with a mix of amusement and concern. He was happy Mike had found someone special, but proposing marriage after one date was quick. "Why don't you take it slow?" John suggested gently. "You haven't even met her parents. Get to know her better before you start planning a wedding." But Mike was too smitten to listen to reason. His mind was made up. Lily was his forever. Now he just had to find a way to win over her wealthy family, if only he knew the secrets lurking within their affluent facade. The weeks he passed were a whirlwind of happy dates, romantic evenings, and conversations about their future. With each passing day, Mike fell deeper in love with Lily. 2 months into their fairy tale relationship, he couldn't deny the intense feelings flooding his heart. It was time to make things official and propose to her. Mike spent weeks fretting over the perfect ring, eventually choosing a princess-cut diamond set in a platinum band. It was extravagant, especially on a mechanic's budget, but he wanted to show Lily his dedication to making her happy. When the big night arrived, Mike took Lily on a horse-drawn carriage ride through Central Park, the city's twinkling lights surrounding them, and the clip-clop of hooves providing a romantic soundtrack. With trembling hands, he pulled the ring box from his pocket. "Lily," he began, his voice full of emotion, "from the moment I accidentally bumped into you at that market, I knew you were special. You're beautiful, intelligent, kind, and everything I've ever wanted in a partner. These past months have been the happiest of my life, and I can't imagine spending another day without you by my side." Tears glistened in Lily's eyes as Mike got down on one knee in the carriage. "Lily Harris, will you make me the happiest man in the world and become my wife?" A radiant smile spread across her face as she nodded emphatically. "Yes, Mike, 1,000 times yes." He slipped the sparkling ring onto her slender finger and pulled her into a passionate kiss, pouring all his love and devotion into it. When they finally pulled apart, Lily's eyes shone with pure joy. "I love you so much," she whispered. This is everything I've ever wanted." As they continued their carriage ride, Lily's expression turned slightly worried, a frown creasing her brow. "There's just one thing." Mike felt his heart skip a beat with anxiety. "What is it, love?" She bit her full lower lip. "You still haven't met my parents, and the truth is they're complicated, very wealthy, and a bit snobbish if I'm honest." Swallowing hard, Mike tried to stay calm. "Hey, it's going to be okay. They'll love me once they get to know me. When can I meet them?" "They're away on one of their endless vacations right now," Lily answered evasively. "But I promise when they're back, you'll meet them. I hope they can see how wonderful you are like I do." Her warm smile and reassuring kiss did little to ease Mike's anxiety. If Lily's family were as wealthy and snobbish as she implied, winning their acceptance would be an uphill battle, but she was the love of his life, and he'd walk through fire if that's what it took to make her his wife. Whatever challenges her parents posed, Mike was determined to prove his worth. In the weeks following the proposal, Mike grew increasingly anxious about the lingering questions surrounding Lily's family. Why was she so hesitant to talk about them or arrange a meeting? He knew she had mentioned their wealth, but were they really that snobbish? And there was the nagging issue of her surname, Reynolds. It didn't match the famous Vanderbilt name engraved on the shiny iron gates of the mansion where he had dropped her off on their first date. At first, he brushed it off, assuming she took her mother's name or something, but the more he thought about it, the more unsettled he became. What if Lily's family wasn't what she said? What if she had been lying about her background all along? The thought sickened him, but Mike knew only one way to dispel his doubts: to see the truth himself. And so he began to plan. No matter how crazy it sounded, the mansion would be empty if Lily's family was away. Yes, all he had to do was find a way inside to look around and better understand these people. With a few simple items from a costume store, Mike had his answer. He would sneak into the house, disguised as a delivery person, using an old trick to gain entry. Then he could explore, get the lay of the land, and solve this mystery once and for all. His father warned him he was crazy, that he was crossing lines that could get him into serious legal trouble, but Mike was too obsessed with finding answers to listen to reason. He would uncover the truth about Lily's family one way or another. Mike's palms were sweaty and nervous as he approached the grand gates of the Vanderbilt mansion, holding a cheap plastic delivery box as a flimsy prop. He took a deep breath to steady himself and pressed the call button on the intercom. "Delivery for the Vanderbilt family," he declared in his most serious voice. When the garbled voice came through the speaker, there was a pause. Then, the iron gates began to swing open with an ominous creak. This was it. With his baseball cap pulled low and his head down, Mike hurried up the immaculate cobblestone driveway toward the arched entrance of the house. His heart pounded in his ears, a mix of adrenaline and anxiety coursing through his veins. What if he got caught? This was almost certainly illegal, not to mention it would ruin any chance of gaining Lily's family's acceptance. But he had to know the truth. Only by seeing it with his own eyes could he understand what was really going on. The front door was unlocked, making it easy for Mike to slip inside. He stood in a lavish, marble-floored hallway, with rich mahogany paneling and priceless artwork adorning the walls. The place screamed old money, and lots of it. Gripping his prop delivery box tightly, Mike began to weave through the expansive house, his eyes wide, trying to take in every extravagant detail. This was exactly the kind of place he imagined Lily's wealthy family lived in. But as he turned a corner, entering what seemed to be a sitting room, Mike froze in shock. Just a few steps away, with a feather duster in hand, was the unmistakable figure of Lily, dressed in a simple black dress and white apron, with her hair neatly tied back. She looked up at his footsteps and her eyes widened with shock and panic. "Mike," she gasped, clearly distressed to see him there. "Mike, what are you doing here?" Before he could answer, a door nearby creaked open, startling them both. Mike's blood ran cold as two elegantly dressed middle-aged people entered the room. They were a man and a woman, who he could only assume were the house's owners, Lily's real family. The man frowned as he took in the strange scene before him. "Girl," he barked at Lily, his voice dripping with contempt. "Who is this man? And what is he doing in my house?" Lily opened her mouth, then closed it again, looking like a deer caught in headlights. The terrible truth crashed over Mike like a tidal wave as he realized that Lily was not the wealthy heiress she had claimed to be. She was the maid, working in this house, clearly not belonging to the family. She had lied to him about everything from the very start. The betrayal cut through Mike like a hot knife, his legs almost giving way under the shock. Looking into Lily's pained eyes, he realized he had been completely deceived and believed it unquestioningly. His world was collapsing, and he had no one to blame but himself. Mike felt a wave of nausea as the weight of Lily's deception threatened to crush him. He had been so foolish, believing her lies without a second thought. His mind swirled in anger, confusion, and deep sorrow. How could she do this to him after he had loved her with all his heart and planned a life together? The next moments were a blur as Mike somehow found the strength to run out of the mansion, ignoring Lily's desperate pleas for him to stop and talk to her. He couldn't bear to look at her near the source of this painful betrayal. When he reached his father's apartment, Mike was a wreck of emotions, angry tears streaming down his face. He tried to explain what had happened, but the words stuck in his throat, turning into incoherent sobs. John immediately stepped into his protective father role, holding his son tightly as Mike's anguished sobs racked his body. "Calm down, son," John soothed, his forehead creased with a father's worry. "Take a deep breath and tell me what happened." It took several long minutes for Mike to calm down enough to choke out the truth. The whole truth about Lily's betrayal, about how she had lied and deceived him from the start. As the words poured out in heartbreak and anger, John's expression shifted from shock to fury. "That lying little brat," he growled, his fists clenching. "I'll wring her neck for that. Tell me, Mike, she's not worth another thought or tear." But Mike knew his father's ferocity was a mask for his anger and pain on behalf of his son, because no matter how strong John was, they had both been deceived by Lily's web of lies. A heavy silence settled between them, broken only by Mike's ragged breathing as he tried to compose himself. As John opened his mouth to offer some rugged comfort, a soft knock sounded at the door. Both men froze, heads turning toward the sound. Mike felt his stomach sink, a cold sweat breaking out on his skin. It couldn't be, could it? "Michael," a trembling voice called from the other side of the door. "Mike, please, it's me, Lily. I need to explain everything to you, to both of you." Rage boiled in Mike's veins at the sound of that voice, the deceitful voice that had broken his heart. He stepped forward to shout at her, to drive her away, never to see her again. But John placed a firm hand on his chest, his eyes filled with stern resolve. "Let her in, Mike. I want to hear if that girl thinks she can justify what she's done." Mike yanked open the door with a weary nod, revealing Lily with tear-streaked eyes and a face pale as a ghost. She looked utterly miserable, wringing her hands nervously as she met his angry gaze. "You have 5 minutes," Mike spat, his voice dripping with bitterness. "After that, I don't want to see or hear from you again. Understand?" Lily flinched as if struck but nodded shakily. "I understand. And I'm so sorry, Mike. You have to believe I never wanted to hurt you like this." As she explained, no one could have predicted the bombshell she would drop. Lily took a deep breath to steady herself, preparing to reveal the truth she had kept hidden all her life. "I'm not who you think I am," she began hesitantly, her eyes darting between Mike's furious expression and John's piercing gaze. "The Vanderbilt family, the owners of that mansion, are not my family, at least not in the way I led you to believe." She took another breath for courage before continuing in a soft, pained voice. "When I was born, Charles, my father, lied to my mother, telling her I had died during childbirth. He abandoned me, leaving me in a dumpster like trash because he didn't want me to threaten his inheritance of my mother's family fortune." Her words hung in the air, a horrifying confession that stunned Mike and John. Tears glistened in Lily's eyes as she continued her heartbreaking story. "Another family found me and raised me as their own, not knowing the truth about my origins," she explained, her voice thick with emotion. "It wasn't until a few months ago that I discovered the truth through some old documents and began piecing everything together." Mike felt his anger melting away rapidly, replaced by a profound sense of pity and sorrow for the woman before him. She had been an innocent victim, her life turned upside down by one man's greed and cruelty. "So you took the job at the mansion," he whispered, the whole picture coming into focus. "You were trying to get close to your biological mother to expose the truth about that bastard." Lily nodded, tears spilling over. "I just wanted her to know the truth, to have a chance to connect with her daughter who was stolen from her. I never imagined—" Her gaze found Mike's, filled with regret. "I never imagined I would fall in love and hurt the person I cared about so deeply." The pain in her eyes was evident, the regret hanging thick in the air around them. Mike was surprised at himself, feeling his defenses crumble in the face of her heart-wrenching confession. This poor woman had been through hell and back because of one man's greed and deceit. And instead of seeking revenge, instead of trying to destroy, she wanted to connect with the mother she never knew was alive. Slowly, Mike crossed the small room to stand in front of Lily. He touched her tear-streaked cheek, his thumb brushing lightly over her soft skin as their eyes locked. "I'm so sorry, love," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Sorry that you had to go through all that. Sorry I didn't give you a chance to explain before I blew up like an idiot." Lily's lips trembled, fresh tears streaming down. Can you forgive me for lying to you initially, even though my intentions changed?" In response, Mike pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly, soothing her trembling body as she wept into his shoulder. He looked over at his father, seeing the sorrow and newfound respect reflected in him. They had misjudged this woman, this survivor who had endured unimaginable cruelty with grace and resilience. But Mike knew then that he didn't just love Lily. He admired and respected her strength more than anyone he had ever known. As he held her, gently stroking her hair, he silently vowed to stand by her, to be her rock as she finally faced the ghosts of her past once and for all, because this fantastic woman deserved someone to fight for her, after so many years of abandonment and betrayal. In the weeks following Lily's painful revelation, the whirlwind of confrontations, chaos, and the overdue unveiling of the Vanderbilt family's dark secrets ensued. Despite Mike's initial doubts, Lily had decided to take the high road, refusing to pursue legal action or publicly shame her monstrous biological father. Her only wish was for her birth mother, Margaret, to finally know the truth about what had happened to her child all those years ago. With Mike and John steadfastly by her side, Lily arranged a meeting with Margaret, anxious yet eager to finally connect with the mother who had been cruelly deprived of her presence. The meeting was as emotional as they had anticipated, with Margaret dissolving into heart-wrenching sobs upon learning of her husband's unforgivable lies and betrayal. She clung to Lily like a lifeline, her cries of anguish echoing through the grand mansion as the lies and tragedy were finally brought to light. Ultimately, Margaret decided to press charges against Charles for child abandonment and endangerment, the wrath of a mother overwhelming any remaining affection for the man who had so cruelly discarded their daughter. The scandal rocked international headlines. The public was horrified, yet captivated by the horrifying revelations about the Vanderbilt patriarch. As for Lily, she steadfastly refused to seek financial compensation or attempt to claim her share of the family's vast fortune. Her only request from her birth mother was the opportunity to finally get to know her, to build the mother-daughter relationship they had been so ruthlessly denied. Still grappling with the truth, but determined to embrace this second chance, Margaret agreed without hesitation. She sold the grand mansion, shedding the tainted memories of her past life with Charles, and used the money to start a new life with Lily in a more modest home nearby. Through it all, Mike remained by Lily's side with unwavering dedication. His anger at her initial deception had been replaced by a profound admiration for her grace and strength in the face of such terrible betrayal. She was the strongest, bravest woman he had ever known, and he loved her more with each passing day. That was why he decided to make things official again, when everything finally settled down nearly 6 months later. This time, when he planned his proposal, there would be no deceptions or surprises. It was a beautiful spring evening when Mike gathered Lily's newly reconnected family and his father, John, for a small outdoor dinner on the patio of Margaret's new home. As candles flickered and fairy lights twinkled overhead, he took Lily's hand, his eyes locking with her emerald gaze. "A wise man once told me not to rush into marriage without getting to know someone first," Mike began, smiling gratefully at his father. "I've gotten to know you, Lily Harris, the good, the bad, the painful truths, and the inner beauty that shines through it all, and I've never loved or admired anyone more." Tears shimmered in Lily's eyes as Mike slowly knelt, pulling out the sparkling diamond ring from months before. "Lily, will you make me the luckiest man in the world and be my wife for real this time, with no secrets between us?" A radiant smile spread across her face as she laughed through her tears. "Yes, Mike, 1,000,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her passionately, as their families looked on with beaming smiles and joyful applause. When they finally pulled apart, Lily's expression was one of pure, unrestrained happiness. "I love you so much," she gasped. "Thank you for never giving up on me, for never giving up on us." Mike cupped her face in his hands, gazing into her eyes with all the adoration and devotion he felt. "You're my forever girl, Lily Harris. We're meant to be together no matter where life takes us." And in a twist no one saw coming, it was John who chose that moment to clear his throat and interject with 4 words that stunned everyone. "Margaret, will you marry me?" Both couples gaped as John dropped to one knee before Margaret, presenting a beautiful diamond ring of his own. The older woman's hand flew to her mouth, eyes sparkling with joy and tears as she nodded fervently. "Yes, John, yes, of course." As the newly engaged couples embraced amidst laughter and happy tears, it was the perfect ending to the long and arduous journey that had brought them here. A path filled with darkness and deceit, but also resilience, forgiveness, and the ultimate triumph of love. Because no matter how winding the road is, destiny has a way of rewriting itself in the most unexpected ways. And as the 2 couples basked in their hard-won happiness, they knew their journey was only beginning. The story above paints a vivid picture of the complexities of love, loyalty, and resilience. This story is captivating because of the blend of emotional elements and the dramatic tension of hidden family secrets. Here are some personal perspectives on this story. 1. Character development. Mike and Lily undergo significant changes throughout the story. Mike transforms from a naive young man who unquestioningly trusts in good into a more robust and wiser person after confronting painful truths. Lily, a maid with a sorrowful past, finds the courage to face and overcome her family's deceit. This development enhances the realism and emotional connection for the readers. 2. Complexity of love and loyalty. The story is not just about love, but also about loyalty and forgiveness. Despite being deceived, Mike forgives Lily and stands by her when he understands her situation. This illustrates the power of love and loyalty in overcoming severe challenges. 3. Theme of truth and deceit. Lily's initial deceit and the heartbreaking truth about her family strongly contrast the story. It highlights the importance of truth and how deceit can destroy relationships if not addressed promptly. 4. Spirit of resilience. Lily's resilience in facing her painful past and her determination to reconnect with her true family highlights the story. It encourages readers about the strength of perseverance and fighting for what they believe in. 5. Family aspect. Lily's reunion and reconciliation with her biological mother are touching moments that remind us of the importance of family and connection. They emphasize that despite mistakes and hurt, family bonds can be healed and rebuilt. In summary, This story is a romantic tale and encompasses valuable lessons about loyalty, forgiveness, and resilience. It encourages us to face the truth, no matter how painful, and find ways to overcome it to achieve true happiness.